Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Ilan Batz from Orbital X. Today, we are joined by the gang from Hubtype. Got a very exciting conversation. And by way of an intro, I want to talk a little bit about the noise around AI and perhaps the real story that everyone's overlooking. It's not really about the next big thing, but the thing that is actually already in our pockets. 3 billion of us are already using WhatsApp every month. And there's 1 billion people who are using WhatsApp to message businesses every week. So this is less about the next prompt or mobile banking, but it's about chat and how we chat with friends and family, but increasingly how we chat with brands and businesses that we interact with. So if you've interacted with a business on WhatsApp, I think that you'll notice it's less of a chore. It's not something you add to your to-do list. It actually just feels natural. And so when brands and companies show up in this way, it's not just more convenient for users, but it becomes more human. So today we're talking about what happens when companies stop chasing trends and they start building towards where their customers already are, their native environments. I'm joined by Mark Caballé, CEO and co-founder of Hubtype, and Alana Marshall, their brilliant marketing lead. So let's get into it. Welcome both of you.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
I'd love to start off, Mark. You started Hubtype. I'd love to hear about your mission statement and essentially what you guys do.
Well, we always say that we increase the NPS of the world. And how we do it basically is we help companies to make this paradigm shift from traditional channels like phone and email that are not scalable and very expensive to messaging and chat. That is where we spend the majority of our time at a personal level. And we do it providing amazing customer experience in these channels and 360, not just for customer support, but for sales and marketing as well, because this is an holistic channel.
Amazing. So, okay, with that, we've heard about the solution, but let's backtrack a little bit to understand the problem and what is perceived as the broken customer experience. So could you elaborate a little bit on what's the most common customer experience failure that you see in large enterprises today?
Yeah, so basically it's the main problem is that they are attending their customers through the channels that companies want, not the channels that clients want. So every one of us at a personal level is on messaging and chat all day. If I ask you how many emails and phone calls do you do on daily basis to your friends and family, probably will be close to zero, but instead you spend all day on messaging, right? So there is this gap between how we communicate on daily basis, our personal level, and how companies do that with their customers. And this is the main problem because they keep pushing these channels and they think that opening WhatsApp is about just sending a press release and saying, hey, we're on WhatsApp just for some press and good press, etc. But it's not about that. It's the channel of the present and the future, and you must be there. Otherwise, you are missing out. So this for us is what we see as the biggest challenge companies, that they don't know how to open the channels properly.
So that's really fascinating, Mark. It would be great to understand why do messaging apps matter so much in the customer journey now?
Well, as I was mentioning, every one of us is on messaging and chat at a personal level, but companies are not there. So it's not about anymore if they want to do it or not. It's a must for them. Of course, depending on the industry, it will take longer. For example, in finance, they go slower than in e-commerce, okay? But no one, I think, discuss anymore if they have to do it or not. But they have to do it because it's the channel where we spend most of the time. It's the channel that is the favorite channel of everyone, where we interact all day long. It's asynchronous. So this is amazing for the customer. It's the first time that as a customer, you can control everything. You reply when you want, you interact when you want, you have all the context and all the interactions there. It's not that you have to afterwards call to get a recording that you had over a call. So you are in charge. It empowers the end user, no? And again, for brands, this is not about just opening WhatsApp and publishing a press release. It's about completely changing the way that they think on how they interact with their customers. So this is why they need the right tools, the right partner, and the right strategy.
So it'd be great to understand, following on from that, why do traditional channels like voice or email fall short when it comes to customer experience or the customer journey?
Well, basically, they are very, very expensive. They are not scalable. The customer experience is really bad. Probably all of us have interacted with these IVRs that do not make any sense at all, and they are really, really painful and frustrate you. And then they are not our favorite. So just with for these reasons, they should be already asking questions on how they are doing and why they are doing and investing in these channels.
Super interesting, Mark. So you mentioned before the limitations of how companies are using a channel like WhatsApp, and you mentioned here about bad customer experience in traditional channels. What's so limiting about text, for example?
Well, basically, when you just simple text, okay, you can automate certain things. Let's say FAQs, simple queries, and that works really well. The ROI is there, and you can do it pretty fast, and more now with Gen AI. But there are a lot of use cases for companies that are complex use cases. Let me give you some examples. Select a seat in an airline, open a claim in an insurance, or a test drive in an automotive, okay? All these cases, if you think about it, technically can be implemented and automated using text. But the UX it's gonna be so bad that no one is gonna use it, and the conversion rate is gonna be really, really low. On top of that, you are gonna frustrate the user, they are gonna go back and call you, which is what you wanted to avoid in first place. So this is why automating with just text is not enough. On top of that is, as a human beings, we are used to interact with graphical interfaces. It's the best way we interact with the best customer experience, mobile apps, websites, etc. So this is what is missing in the automation on messaging apps and chat.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, how many times have we been speaking to a customer service representative or via a bot, and then you have to launch a new application, and then something crashes, and then you're back at the beginning. So as a customer, that whole experience is really poor.
Absolutely.
So Alana and Mark, maybe you've both got perspectives on this. What is it that you see as the biggest misconception that companies and brands have about automation or chatbots in general?
Mm-hmm. I can start, Alana, if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
So basically, people associate chatbot with a bad experience. So I think that it's changing a little bit lately with all the progressions of AI, generative AI, etc. But in general, people when they have it, chatbot has a bad connotation, okay? Because there has been so many bad experiences that, to be honest, it's normal. I get it. I mean, the majority of chatbots provide a bad experience. So I cannot complain people and companies even for thinking like that. And also the IVRs, no? They call it chatbots as well. The automation on the IVRs, it's really, really painful. But but that's the point, no? That when companies start opening and creating chatbots, they just think as a thing that they're gonna do as in silos, no? That project. But you should start thinking about how you're gonna provide good customer experience in the channels at a company level and not just one experience, no? And it's super important to, when you open these kind of channels of messaging and chat, to have a strategy in place and the right tools, because if you do it wrong, then people is not going to use it and it's going back to the traditional channels, which is what you wanted to avoid in first place. And what has been happening is that companies do not have in general the expertise inside on how to build on these channels. And then they do implementations that do not work properly, and their learning is this does not work. But it's not that the channel does not work, it's that the strategy and the tools probably were not the right ones.
So for me, and building up a little bit of what Mark said before about companies seeing chatbots with a bad connotation and also thinking about, okay, my chatbot can only give quick answers to basic questions, and that's not true. When automation is done right, it can do what Mark was saying. It can handle highly complex transactional use cases, and with it, still be completely natural to the customer or to the end user. If you think about it, when we do any kind of automation, the technology has to be right, and of course that's super important. But in the backend, it's how the full experience has to be designed. So it has to be built around how the user is going to behave on these channels. So there's a story I want to tell, quick one. I remember when we signed one of our clients last year, a big airline, when they had their first kickoff with all of our team in customer success, they met our conversational designer. They didn't know what he did, what was important, and they had this huge aha moment that made a difference into how important it is to understand and to design for the user with UX principles in mind. And we already had signed them, but still they had this misconception about super simple actions that if you really have a conversational strategy and a conversational designer plus the whole technology, the experience is going to be way better. So in the end, it's about rethinking the channel and about rethinking what chatbots are.
Great. So that's super interesting, Ilana and Mark, and this whole the role of conversational design being so important in making any sort of customer experience and interface successful. So what's the value of that conversational design? Like, could you speak through how that impacts on a business level, monetarily, companies in 2025?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you just an example, no? Because it seems it's weird that we make ourselves this question, no, about chatbots and conversational design. But do you ask this question about websites and designers, or mobile apps and having a designers for that, or it's obvious? I think that it's pretty obvious, right? That you need them because it improves the usability, the UX, the customer experience, etc. So here is the same. But the problem is that probably 95% of chatbot providers don't even have conversational designers. So that's gonna have a big impact in terms of how the experience is gonna turn out, right? So yeah. It's basically that. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but it's not that obvious for the companies. And this is because the maturity of this market even has improved a lot, is not there yet. And one last thing regarding this. We are talking about channels that are gonna be the main communication channel in the next years. So what we cannot still understand is how companies don't see it. I mean, the same way that you invested so much in a CRM because it was core, or in phone or email because they were the main channels, or any other core systems or projects that you need because it was key. Now, messaging and chat, it's gonna be your main communication channel. And companies are not treating it as the main communication channel.
Wow. Amazing how interlinked with business success that conversational experience and design really is.
Absolutely.
So we've spoken a bit about how conversational design and messaging is so central to a business and their customers' needs. Let's talk about Hubtype and your specific solution and how you solve bad customer experience. So could you tell me a little bit about what's unique about the way Hubtype approaches messaging and automation?
Yeah, sure. So let's just to touch base, let's start really fast about the problem that we mentioned before. Right now you have 100% of queries that you can automate. Let's say that 30% of these queries are simple use cases, low value conversations, FAQs, general queries, and so on. But then you have a lot of high complex use cases that probably they are already automated in your website. Let's say in an airline, select a seat, add a bag, flight change, etc. Okay, and this represents the majority of the use cases in some cases. Okay, so with traditional platforms, conversational platforms, you can automate in a good way this 30%, the low value conversations, and that for us is a commodity. That's easy, and now with Gen AI, it's even easier. Okay, but what happens with these big high value conversations, complex use case that need transactionality, etc. And this is what we do at Hubtype. We have conversational apps. And through conversational apps, we're able to automate the low value conversations and the high value one. And probably you may be wondering, okay, what is a conversational app? A conversational app sits in the intersection between the best of graphical interfaces, that is how we interact in the best way with brands, and the best of messaging channels where we spend the majority of our time. So combining the best of both worlds, you can automate the low value conversations, the high value conversations with amazing customer experience and in a secure way, because that's another point. One of the stoppers of why companies don't implement the high value conversations is security. So if you go to a bank or an insurance company, or the majority of brands, but let's say these two verticals, and you have to tell them that they will, in order to open a claim, they will have to exchange sensitive data within the channel of WhatsApp, it's a no-go. Compliance and security are not going to allow it directly. But with our technology in conversational apps, when these graphical elements combined with the channel appears, all the information that is within these components is outside of the channel. So then it allows you to automate good complex use cases with amazing UX and a secure way. And to sum up, what we are trying to do and how we see it, and we can talk about vision, is we help companies to bring their website to messaging and chat.
Really interesting. So just to dig a little deeper on that, Mark, you've mentioned graphical interfaces a few times. Would you be able to explain a bit more, like what do you mean by graphical interfaces, and what's possible within WhatsApp? Like what's happening now? I guess customers are being bounced out to then interact graphically or with certain complex processes. But what does that mean within a WhatsApp environment? What can be done?
Yeah, so probably a lot of you are aware about WeChat in China. It's like the WhatsApp from there. But the difference is that that's not a simple WhatsApp. It's an operating system with micro apps within. Okay, so WhatsApp and all other messaging apps, Apple Business Chat, Facebook Messenger, Instagram DMs, etc., are copying it and are adding catalogs, payments, extensions, and so on. So where are we going? We are going towards a society where the main entry point to contact all your brands will be your favorite messaging channel. And within it, instead of chatbots, there will be micro apps or conversational apps. And at Hubtype, basically, we help companies and provide the tools to build these micro apps within messaging that go beyond the traditional chatbots. So you can call it chatbot 2.0, 3.0 to make it more understandable, no? But also here a comparison. Do you remember websites in the 90s? They were just hyperlinks and text.
Yeah.
Look at the websites that we have now, right? So this is the same. We have started with the chatbots that is just text-based, very simple. But what is going to happen is we are going to have these conversational apps or micro apps where you will be able to do everything from messaging with any brand at any moment in an amazing UX and a secure way.
Wow. So we're currently operating in a World Wide Web 1.0 format with chat, and now we're taking it into where it should be.
Totally.
So we're talking a lot about chat and conversational design and graphical interfaces. That seems to be quite UX heavy and design heavy. So what role would you say does UX and design play in what you've built?
Well, it plays a big role. That's why in our delivery team we have conversational designers, and we have conversational specialists as well. We have developers, graphical designers, etc. And we combine all these specialties to deliver the best experiences in the channels, because this is not about just automating with text, as we have been explaining. This is about combining the best of what works nowadays. That is basically graphical interface in terms of customer experience. I mean, this is the best way, and the best experience that we have with brands is through graphical interfaces with the channels that we spend the majority of time. So you have to combine a conversational, but then gathering some data, how this matches, and when there is a handover to human agent. Okay, so combining all these different scenarios and making meaningful for the customers requires design, and not just UX, but CX and graphical, etc. So it's a combination of different kind of designs. And this is one of the main reasons of Hubtype success, and that sets us apart. And a lot of our clients always say, the added value on top of the platform that you add, it's invaluable. Because just providing the tools, it's not enough.
So Mark, it sounds imperative that you have expertise in that area, and you mentioned before that you're not seeing that at companies and clients, those roles who are experts in conversational design.
Yeah, that's correct. One interesting trend that we have seen in the last years is at least enterprise companies are starting to create this customer experience team now within companies. And every time there is more people, but this is very broad. It's not specific, and for us, it's again that's for us weird, because we are talking and people don't see it. I mean, companies don't see it yet, no. But we are talking about what is going to be the main communication channel, and this is not a debate anymore. I mean, your customers are there. You're gonna do it, even with later or sooner, but you're gonna do it, no? So they should start being and having a specialist in this channel, because there are three components here, right? There are the tools, there is the partner, but it's the conversational strategy as well as a company. And companies don't have a conversational strategy for the channels. They maybe have it for phone and email, they don't have it for WhatsApp and chat in general. Or if they have it, it's really, let's say, immature compared to where we can go, etc.
Got it. So you talk about conversational apps, graphical interfaces, this kind of thing. What does that actually mean in practice?
Okay, so this is why conversational apps is, I think that let's start with a comparison, okay? Do you remember when websites were just text and hyperlinks in the 90s? Okay, those webs were funny now, right? If you think about it, but look how the evolution until now. The webs are amazing. The best way we interact with brands is through their website and mobile apps, and this is 100% graphical interfaces. Okay, and I think that there is no debate there. So conversational apps, basically, what the rationale behind it is, okay, nowadays we are interacting in the best way with graphical interfaces with brands, where you can have self-serve experiences, amazing for any business need that you have. But at the same time, we are on messaging and chat all day. So conversational apps is the intersection of these both worlds. Graphical interfaces in the channels that you spend the majority of your time. And this allows brands to basically bring the whole website to messaging and chat, and being able to not automate just the low value conversations, what is a commodity, FAQs, simple queries, etc., but the high value ones. As an example here is select a seat for an airline, open a claim for an insurance, make a return on e-commerce, or test drive for automotive.
Yeah, I understand platforms like WeChat in Asia already do this sort of thing. Do you feel that companies in the West are a little bit late to the game in that respect?
Here I have to defend a little bit the companies, because also what it's a little bit it's taking longer is WhatsApp and messaging apps. They are not evolving as fast as we would like, but they are there and they are copying WeChat. And WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Instagram direct messages, Apple Business Chat, all these ones are going to become a super app. Even also X from Elon Musk, right? He said that he wants to build a super app. And all are gonna be super apps. And this is gonna be the main entry point. The mobile apps market it's not gonna disappear because you will need certain apps for sure. But how many apps do you download every month? So, but how many times do you use WhatsApp every day? That's the difference. So imagine a world where all companies have their micro app within the channel that all of us are using every day, hundreds of times probably, some of them.
Yeah. So as a leader working for any brand or company, I guess you could ask yourself, are you ready to plug in and leverage a super app?
Absolutely. And also here we can talk about if this is what companies want. Probably they want to control the channel and where their users interact from. There are security concerns, etc. There are a lot of topics here, okay? But this is a trend that you will embrace, even because you will be forced or because you embrace it, but you're gonna be there. So it's better sooner than later, to be honest.
Right. So within all of what we're talking about here, where is it that Hubtype really shines? What are the specific use cases that you solve better than anyone else for your customers?
So basically, it's the high value conversations. These are complex use cases, transactional use cases. Okay, what 99% of conversational platforms focus is in low value conversations like FAQ, simple queries, and this is a commodity. It's easy, and now with the tools that they are appearing every day, I mean, it's not anymore a competitive advantage. Okay, but what we focus is okay. I have a funny story here just for you to see, and then I will focus on the high value conversations. But we have a client, no? Like it's Wizard. And it was funny because in the discovery, and this happens a lot to us, we asked how much automation do you have? And they said 80%, like really, oh, we are really good. No? And that's amazing, 80%. But we said, the question is not 80%, the question was 80% of what? And they said, of the FAQs and simple queries, etc. And then we said, okay, that's amazing. Congratulations, because you're already much more advanced than a lot of people and a lot of companies. But if you start counting all the complex use cases, like selecting a seat, add a bag, flight change, check-in, etc. And if you could automate all this 80%, how much it would be? And their answer would be, it was like 30%. Okay, and we tell them, in order to understand the value proposition, so Hubtype can help to go from this 30% to a real 80%. Because we help you to automate the complex use cases that with just text and AI are not enough. And you cannot do it.
So, okay, so super interesting about like low value use cases, high value use cases. Is there a specific example that you could give us where a company maybe thought that they were implementing the right solutions, but actually you could see that they didn't really see like the full iceberg? It was just the tip that they were really working on?
Yeah, it's a great question, and to be honest, this happens all the time in discoveries, okay? Because companies are not aware that this can be done sometimes, because they say high value conversations, how we automate it, the UX will be really bad and it will not be secure, no? So we have, for example, the case of, one of the examples is Wizard, an airline.
Yeah.
Okay. That basically, when the discovery, they said to us that they were automating 80% of their cases. And we said, wow, that's amazing. But then we keep asking, and we said, but this 80%, from which kind of questions are you saying that is automating 80%? And they said the FAQs and simple queries. And we say, that's great, you're doing an amazing job, and you are much more advanced than the majority of airlines probably. But let's be honest. Now let's put all the potential use cases that you could automate, and don't think about if it's possible or not. So we are talking select a seat, adding a bag, check-in, flight status, change flight, imagine, a lot of cases. And after that, they were making a reflection. They said, okay, maybe if we count all these, maybe we will be automating only 30%. And in order to explain the value proposition of Hubtype, we said, so this is the main value proposition, is we help you to pass from the 30%, the real 30%, to a real 80%. And how we do this? Through conversational apps, combining graphical interfaces in the channels that you spend the majority of time, and being able to automate with high-grade security and good customer experience. And now they're a client, and they have been upselling all day long.
Amazing. A great example of a customer who didn't actually realize how much could be done through conversational experience and AI.
Yeah, and here, Ilian, let me say something else, because I think that is interesting. The problem here that we have seen is that some of these companies in any vertical, they have tried some of this, but they have tried with text and AI, and the results have been so catastrophic that in their minds is, okay, this cannot be done right now with the technology that exists. But yes, it can be done with Hubtype. And this is why, and what we show, how can we do it, okay? But sometimes they don't even think about it because they tried out, it didn't work, because the experience was so bad and conversion rate super low. So they discarded at a group level, at a company level, etc.
Yeah. Alana, you're on the front lines in a marketing sense, dealing with customers all the time. In your opinion, like, where do you see the key use cases where Hubtype really shines?
Yes, and it's a little bit about what Mark was saying, but I can put it down in a little bit more like bite-sized, in a way that we think about our clients and what they're going through. And we need to really understand a couple things. So it really comes down to scalability and complexity. What do I mean by that? We work best with companies that are dealing with high volume, repetitive customer interactions, but that those interactions are not simple. So like Mark was saying, we can do FAQs, we can do simple interactions, but that's not where the real money is, for brands. Yeah. And where we come in and where we bring value is when we have to do those highly complex, highly transactional use cases. For airlines, there's everything that has to do with upsellings, but we can also talk about submitting a claim for insurance. We can talk about everything that has to do within the e-commerce sector. We can do transactions. We can do everything that has to do with return. Where's my order? For councils, we can also do other types of requests that people do not think of this, because we bring the interface, what Mark calls graphical interface, but it's in the end it's a mini web we embed in WhatsApp, and that's how we provide the end-to-end, start to finish, use case live, and that where we can actually give the user an actionable use case, and not only a simple question and answer, but actually provide them the whole experience. So that's where we shine and how we help our customers.
Amazing. The whole experience in WhatsApp. Cool.
Ian, I want to say something here, because another benefit of this is that usually in high value conversations and complex use cases, it's not about just driving efficiency. Several of these use cases generate revenue, like adding a bag in airlines, or selecting a seat. So you get two benefits: the efficiency of automating it and the benefit of upselling. So that's a double benefit for the companies.
Right. So there's an automation piece which eases the burden internally on managing call centers or customer service centers, But also, so there's an efficiency driver there. But on the customer side as well, there's a huge uplift in customer experience because they're able to do everything from one window. So there's no more scrambling around your email or over to your messaging or to a specific app.
Yeah, and there is an extra revenue for the company, for the airline, because they have sold an additional bag, for example, or a premium seat, right?
Amazing. Okay. So high value, complex conversations and use cases. What does that actually mean in terms of value for the companies who are able to leverage it in the right way?
So that's a great question, because for a lot of companies, it means saving money, FTEs, driving efficiency, etc. But some of these use cases at the same time generate revenue. So let's say that you automate getting a quote from a loan in an insurance. That's getting potential revenue. Or in an airline, adding a bag or select a seat. Or in an automotive drive test. Okay, so these complex use cases that with just text would not be possible, or that the experience will be very bad, if you do it with conversational apps, it's possible. And beyond just driving efficiency for the sake of automating the use case, also can drive revenue, which is, it's another level.
Got it. So I understand the value add there through automation. There are upsell opportunities for brands. You glossed over a little bit the efficiency side. Could you unpack that for us? Like, where are brands and companies driving efficiencies when they're using this in the right way?
Yeah, basically, they see huge call deflection. So they make the paradigm shift from traditional channels that are very expensive and not scalable, or not as scalable as messaging and chat, and then make this paradigm shift to these new channels that are much more scalable, cheaper, and easy to automate. So the end goal is FTEs that they save and money that they save. But on top of that is, we always said that in messaging, there is two kinds of automations or savings. Let's say that there are two kinds of savings. The first saving is about automation. Okay, low value conversations, high value ones. Okay, you get that done automatically, that's amazing. But the second driver of efficiency is when the conversation handovers to human agent. Because how many calls can you attend at the same time? One. How many cases can you attend at the same time as an agent, customer support agent? From 3 to 5. This means that attending interactions on messaging can be up to 80% cheaper as well. So if you combine the two drivers of efficiency, the drive of the automation plus the efficiency of the agents, that's a lot of money saved.
Amazing. That's a great soundbite right there. All right, so let's talk about results, because everyone wants to know the juicy results, right? And what have the outcomes been for clients? So could you unpack a little bit more and dig into what kind of impact you've driven for clients after they've implemented Hubtype?
Yes, and yeah, this is the part where we want to explain the most, no? Because it's the results of our platform. But
yeah,
bear in mind that our platform is a 360 platform. It's an holistic. These channels, it's not about just opening WhatsApp, saving some money for efficiency, which we will talk. It's 360. Once you start with a customer service, and then marketing and sales realize that these channels have open rates of 100% and response rates up to 80%, they say, okay, what do we have to do to be there? Okay, so let's start in let's say a customer journey purchase that is the pre-purchase. And for example, our clients in pre-purchase, so before purchasing, okay, they can see increase of 40% conversion rates. That means more sales, okay? At the same time, during the purchase and post-purchase is when customer support enters. And there we have seen paradigm shift from only having 0 or 5% in messaging and chat to up to 80% in messaging and chat. So the paradigm shift from traditional channels like phone and email to messaging and chat. having 80% of automation and call deflection of 40%. This is amazing, and again, this is also impacts the quantity of FTEs reduced, okay?
Yeah.
And then we have the re-engage part. No, after they have purchased, the post-sales, etc., you can send marketing campaigns, no, for different reasons. And here, as I was saying, they see 100% almost open rate of these messages and up to 80% response rate. Let's just to compare, SMS open rate could be 5%. So there is a massive gain here. But yeah, this is more or less that. Just wanted to bring up different KPIs in different use cases, no?
Yeah, I mean, those are some crazy numbers. And so if we just dig into those a little bit more, if we go back to the pre-purchase side, and you mentioned a 40% increase. So my background as a marketer, that's top of funnel. So those are customers that are coming to perhaps your website or interacting with your store and browsing your products, and there could be a 40% uplift there. Is that what you're saying?
Well, more than not that in your website, but in WhatsApp. So what we are doing now is offering AI sales agents, personal shoppers, personal advisors, call it however you want, because depending on the brand, it's called one way or the other, that basically make personalized recommendations. And companies that provide personalized experiences have higher conversions. The problem with that is that you cannot personalize nowadays all your base of customers, because usually companies do it with humans, the personalization for the high value customers. But what we are now enabling companies is to do that for all the base in WhatsApp and with AI. So to provide personalized recommendations in WhatsApp that can then convert to purchase. And this is where we see this kind of results.
Super fascinating. Because also, personalization has been at the forefront of discussions in marketing and ad tech for so long. And personally, I've never really seen it come to great fruition, because ultimately brands are trying to reach such wide audiences, and so the level of personalization becomes quite limited. But are you saying then that what WhatsApp represents when using this conversational AI is actually probably the best realization of personalization?
Yeah, because here you combine, I mean, this 40% is not that you increase sales by 40%. You increase conversion rates, certain conversion rates of the funnel, that depends on the use case, the brand, etc., by 40%, okay? And how this works is that WhatsApp, for example, have native catalogs, okay? And few months ago, or even 1 year ago, the technology was not there, okay? But now you can generate personalized catalogs based on the preference of the customer in real time in WhatsApp in native way. Amazing. And that then tie it to the checkout of the brand. So if you then think, okay, where are my customers? They are on WhatsApp. Does personalization increase conversions? Yes, it does. And you combine these two concepts, then you have these results.
Incredible. And the life cycle marketing, let me do that again. And the later stage that you mentioned, which I would class as life cycle marketing, 100% open rates for WhatsApp messages. I mean, that must be a game changer for anyone who is in CRM or life cycle marketing.
Absolutely. Because how many messages you don't read from WhatsApp? That's the key. Maybe in a few years will change, but I can tell you that right now is this. Open rates are almost between 98 and 100% for the majority of campaigns that we have. Then the response rate can vary. If it's depending of the campaign, depending if the customer was expecting the push, etc. Okay, there are different variables there. But absolutely, I mean, this is a game changer, and this is what companies are realizing. That this is not about opening the channel and sending the press release. this is going to completely change the way that you're going to interact with your customers, and it's 360. So this is why it's so important to choose the right tools and not just the tool that offers the channel. That's not the solution. It's going to be so core and so cross unit and functional within your company that you need the right tools are taking this into account.
Yeah, makes total sense. So those are some very impressive stats that you mentioned. Could we maybe be a bit more specific? If you could share one or two real life results from enterprise customers that you've seen that relate to what you're talking about?
Yeah. So for example, we also have I want to explain this because this has been amazing and super fast. JetSmart, an airline in Chile, basically they reduce calls by 25% to WhatsApp, having 90% of automation, which means 70% cost reduction per each interaction. But the crazy thing is that they have done this in 6 weeks.
Wow.
They had no automation, no channels open like this, etc. We helped them make a good conversational strategy, all the best practices in place and the right tools, and they got this. And yeah, they are excited.
70% cost reduction in 6 weeks.
Per interaction, yeah, absolutely.
Per interaction, that is impressive.
Yeah, and the calls, I mean, they are deflecting, because one of the things that all companies should be doing is the IVR call deflection. And this means that you call and you say, I want to cancel this flight, or I want to open a claim, okay? And they say, we offer this on WhatsApp. Do you want to continue on WhatsApp? And if you say yes, the call hangs up, and then you receive a push notification on WhatsApp. And then you just evangelize one customer of first, we offer WhatsApp. Then if you have a good experience there, the next time that you contact, you're going to use WhatsApp. And you don't have to even add the contact in WhatsApp. You just have it. You just type the name of the company and it appears. So this is how we help companies, one of the ways of making this paradigm shift. And people want it. I mean, imagine yourself, no? If people offer your favorite channel to interact when you are trying to call because you didn't even want to call in the first place, and you had to book these 20 minutes to make a call because you are working all day and you have to find the space, and they are offering you your favorite channel asynchronous whenever you want, 24/7, would you use it or not? And the answer is yes. Okay? And this is how companies are making the paradigm shift and evangelizing. But the important thing is that you better provide a good experience on WhatsApp if you do this, because otherwise you're going to have very frustrated customers. You send them to WhatsApp, it does not work, they call you again, but now they are more frustrated. So this is why it's so important to open the channels with the right strategy and the right tools.
Yeah, makes total sense. And certainly from a customer perspective, this to me is a no-brainer from my personal experience as well. Is there a reluctance that you see on the brand and company side? Like, is there a block? Like, why would companies not do this?
Yeah, I think that here there are several reasons, politics, and so for example, if there are companies that have made that voice is going to be the main thing. And by the way, I think that it's going to increase now with Gen AI, but it's not going to make the main thing. Because look which are the patterns of the consumers. We like to write, we don't like synchronous things, and we only use phone when there are not other solutions. So phone has to be there for high value conversations that cannot be solved maybe even with AI, or that you need extremely security, etc., or you want to control, okay? But everything else can be done through the channels that we prefer. The problem is that a lot of companies associate these channels as insecure. And it's not true. It's true if you automate with just text, but not with conversational apps.
Amazing. So just to go back to one of the stats that you said in the results, there was 6 weeks for 70% cost reduction per interaction for one of your customers. On a more general basis, what does success look like for customers to implement your solution? Is it a 6-week thing? Is it 3 months, 12 months? How do results progress across the timeline and the lifespan of working with you guys?
So here it depends a lot on how invested is the company. I'm not gonna lie. This is as we were saying, if you just approach this kind of project or as, okay, let's open the channel and let's test it, it's gonna work, but you're not gonna get all the returns that you could do. But when you say, okay, I'm gonna bet on the channel, this is the present and the future, and I'm gonna go all in, then is when you see the big results, okay? And here also, before we start, we create a plan, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years plan on, okay, where are you now, where you want to be, which are the KPIs that you want to impact, because are different for different industries or different use cases are different, right? And we implement this plan. Then what we do is we focus on what we call MVA, that is minimum viable automation. Okay, and here is the quick win. What's that 20% that we can automate that is going to generate 80% of the impact? Because a lot of companies, well, everyone, the the Pareto's law applies to everyone, every industry, etc., more or less. So there is always this big chunk of 20% of queries, high complex use cases, low complex, low value conversations that basically impact and generate 80% of the traffic. So we make, what is your MVA, okay? Once we have that, in 2-3 months, we are live with this. And then we keep implementing the roadmap, okay? And after 6 months, or depending of the brands, because we usually work with enterprise and they move a little bit slower, but that depends on the brand. But let's say after 4 to 6 months, we scale. What does it mean to scale? Well, again, it depends on the use case and the company. It can mean open new languages, open new channels, open new use cases, or create more integrations, okay? So these are the kind of things on how we do it. And then all the impact is the success looks like, okay, are we matching the KPIs? Are we targeting the KPIs that you wanted and having an impact there? And we track that with our customer success program.
Amazing. I love this approach, the MVA. It sounds like to me that you are taking an agile startup approach and mentality to enterprise clients. Do you find that that's really what enterprise corporations actually need to move the needle?
I would say that 5 years ago, no, but now, the last 5 years, yes. I mean, I think that they have invested so much money in so many projects that didn't work out after 12 months that they're starting seeing that this is not the way, no? And I always say to them, you think that this will happen, but this will not happen. It will happen different, better, worse, etc. But if we do it this way, we can adapt and iterate. If we do the mega project upfront, yeah, it's better for me. I earn more money, but I don't want. We don't want as a company just to get all the money in advance. We want to add value, and for that we make sure that we make the sprints and we are fast. We deliver the quick win, and then with the best practices and the conversational strategy that we have defined together, we keep going implementing the roadmap, and that has been successful with our clients.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think, look, minimum viable automation, also probably known by many as low-hanging fruit. And how many, whether you're a customer experience or service leader or a marketing leader, like how many people in those roles are always on the hook for driving that. But where do you find, how is it that Hubtype measures ROI across your clients?
Basically, what we do is how much traffic we are gonna shift from traditional channels like phone and email that are much more expensive and less scalable to messaging and chat, and how much of this we are gonna be able to automate. So then with that, you can see the ROI really fast. But this is how we do it. We know that a ticket, it depends on the industry, but let's say that a phone ticket costs €5, and a WhatsApp, if it's automated, it's almost zero, and if it's with a human agent, maybe 0.8, because remember, you can be attending from 3 to 5 cases at the same time. So there is these two drivers of efficiency, the automation and the multi-case at the same time.
Fantastic. So Mark, I really love this approach, this MVA, minimum viable automation, and I think in many other people's language that is low-hanging fruit, and how many marketing leaders or customer service leaders and experience leaders are on the hook for finding low-hanging fruit. But when it comes to it, how are they measuring improving ROI, and how are you helping them do that?
Okay, so we have said that the MBA basically is focusing on that 20% that generates 80% of the traffic. So if we manage to automate this 20%, we're already automating 80% of their traffic, or almost there. So there you have the ROI already. Because you're using channels that are much more cheaper, much more scalable, and the agents can attend, when there is a handover to human agent, they can be attending from 3 to 5 cases instead of just one call. Okay? Yeah. And on top of that, what before was just a call and an email to send a document, now you can do it in the same channel on messaging. You can send the PDF or whatever they require in the same channel, in the same conversation. So they can be attending from 3 to 5 cases, and it's multimedia. So combining that with the MVA, the quick win, the 20% that is generating 80%, then you have already some FTEs that you can save right away.
Yeah, scale and efficiency, love it. This all sounds like a dream for anyone who is responsible for certain goals and related targets. Do you find that customers are surprised by the results or by the service after going live with your platform?
Well, I will not say they're maybe not surprised for the results, because it's the results that we say that they will get. So we better get them, no? But that said, they are very surprised on how fast we are, how reactive, how much value we add on top of just the tool. No, we are talking here about conversational strategy. We don't talk about opening a channel. Okay, so we are talking big picture, paradigm shift, conversational strategy, etc. And that adds a lot of value. Okay, and also on top of that is our product is super intuitive. In less than 2 hours of training, they are already onboarded and using, making changes, attending cases, etc. So yes, I would say that they're pretty impressed with that.
And Alana, from your side, where do you ever see customers surprised once they go live with Hubtype?
Here, it's beyond what we can actually say about the technology. Of course, like Mark said, we walk the talk. So that's why we have the MBA. So we know exactly where we need to go so we can achieve it. But in the end, it's about our customer success team. So we are handling or working with enterprise customers. They have so many doubts, and there's still some concern around these channels because they don't have the education around them. So us having this team with so expertise, and that we resolve everything so fast, and I'm not saying this out of the empty. This comes from actual interviews that I have with customers, that they get so surprised when we get back to them, when we resolve their issues, when we come up with new ideas, how to make their experience with us even better, that this is the actual layer that builds the entire company. This is the most important part, and our customers are truly grateful to us because of that.
Right. So great customer service for companies who are you making their customer service
exactly.
Absolutely. That's the mantra internally.
Fantastic. So Mark, also I wanted to ask you, what are the downsides of an enterprise client or corporation going into using messaging for their CRM?
Yeah, so this is a very good question, because we face it a lot, okay? And usually the companies that have CRMs, they're like Salesforce or Zendesk or Dynamics, etc., they also offer the connector to the channels. And when they buy it, they say, yeah, you will be able to do everything. But the reality is that which are the channels that are the core from the CRMs? Is email and voice. These are the channels that they were built upon. So yes, they have the channels of messaging, but they don't leverage them. They are not up to the pace of the new functionalities. They are not experts. And again, all companies are migrating to these CRMs because having a CRM that is scalable, that you can make changes and that you can easily adapt to your activity, it's a must nowadays. You had a custom CRM, legacy, you cannot do anything. Everything is so expensive, etc. No? So here is applying the same rationale. Is messaging is going to be so core for you that the majority of traffic is going to be in these channels. So you better get a specialist with the right tools, because if you just get the connector, you're going to fall short for sure. So basically, we don't replace CRMs, we integrate with them, but we provide the functionality of leverage at a 100% of the possibilities, 360, sales, marketing, customer service, in messaging and chat, and then that everything is integrated with your CRM, because there is where all information should be.
Okay, great. Super fascinating stuff so far. I think if anyone is in the hot seat and in those roles, customer experience, marketing leaders, sales, this is a crucial product to explore and to understand. Really high value. So I want to talk a little bit about the bigger picture and the market, as well as the team and kind of where are things going. So Mark, Ilana, what are your opinions on where conversational AI is heading over the next couple of years?
Well, I think that's the $1 million question right now, right? Because everything that is happening, it's going so fast. If we could predict that, that would be awesome, no? But we have seen so many changes in these last years that it's very difficult to predict, no? But we talk about ChatGPT, and that just was released 3 years ago or 2 years and a half. Okay, it seems like, and what it can be done, it's crazy, no?
Yeah. Wow.
Then in 2023, multimodal models, AI coding assistants, open source, AI growth, etc. Then last year, all the AI agents and RAG and memory and personalization, etc. No, and now we're already talking about autonomous AI agents. So it's very difficult to predict where we are going, but at the same time, with all the evolution and having into account that every year this technology is improving by 2x. Okay, this is crazy.
Yeah.
In this space, it's crazy. It's not normal. Okay, so at this pace, in 2 years, we will have autonomous AI agent for any business need. So they will be able to do the whole task. You will be able to give me this task, but a task could be sell an insurance policy. I mean, and it will be done autonomously or stuff like that. So
Wow.
Crazy. Then it will be multimodal. This will mean that these agents will be able to interact with all kind of elements, not just text, voice, image, video, in the same channel. For example, WhatsApp is going to release probably this year the voice API. So you will be in the same channel, being able to send voice notes, send pictures, having catalogs, solving questions, and making a quick call for whatever reason, if you have to the client, the company, or even receiving outbound calls, no, to create tasks, no. So that's very, very interesting. Also, one of the big opportunities that I see is that all the integrations that we have to do manually now with the enterprise, this will be done. I mean, you will know which is the API, and the agent will do it alone. You will not have to build a middleware. It will be built in real time by the agent. Okay, so this also will help brands and companies to implement the high value conversations faster. Okay, And then we were talking about, for the first time, we will be able to have hyper personalization and context awareness, okay, at a scale.
Yeah.
So I see these trends as where we will be in 2 years, maybe less.
So, Mark, I mean, that sounds like there's a ton of change at rapid pace that's coming, which we're seeing all the time with so many advancements in generative AI, etc. But let me ask you the antithesis of that question. What's the constant that you see?
Well, the constant is the same constant that I've seen since we founded Hubtype 10 years ago. That is, messaging is going to be the main communication channel between brands and consumers. And messaging is going to become a super app where you will be able to interact with all your brands and do complex use cases with them. Like all brands will have kind of their website or micro app within messaging. These are the things that I don't see changing and accelerating.
Wow, so interesting. And the role of automation evolving inside enterprise customer experience, we spoke about that and you've touched on that quite a bit, but how do you see that role of automation progressing, or where do we go from here?
Yeah, so until now, all companies, they build this kind of automated experience in a reactive way, right? So you ask me something, I answer you. No, it's just to react to what the consumers are asking you. What will happen is it will be proactive automation, okay? And this could mean that enterprises will be deploying and anticipate things that can happen and reach out in a proactive way automatically. Okay, so this could be one of the changes that we see. Then we are already advanced here, but from rule-based to intelligence-driven, and a lot of decision trees, buttons, etc., and so on now to go through the automated experiences. These will be handled entirely, mainly with conversational, and yes, with good UX, etc., but you will not need that much guidance because it will understand everything.
Got it.
Also, I think that now there are different experiences that work without communicating between them in silos, right? So then everything will be more connected, interconnected, context aware, etc. And when you speak on WhatsApp and then on phone, it will be much easier because all the data will be there and the AI agent will be able to have all the context. Okay, so interconnection of data and channels, experiences, and so on. And then we have touched base on this, but we'll pass from a cost center to a revenue enabler or center. The customer support or BPOs or customer support contact centers will be generating revenue because this is a game changer. In fact, Gartner is predicting that a lot of contact centers are already doing this, or they're starting now.
Revenue generation rather than just a cost center.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last thing that we are already kind of implementing this is that now you have a reporting on how your experiences are working, and you look into it, you make decisions. But this will be the other way around. An AI agent will look at the data and will propose you how to improve it in a proactive way. No? So it will be a decision intelligence, or maybe instead of just proposing, it will implement the changes.
Super cool, all of this. So let's talk about your wish list. What's the one thing that you wish every customer experience leader understood today?
Okay, let me think back. Okay, I will ask for two things.
You can have two.
Yeah, so text automation is not enough. I mean, we are used as a human beings to interact with graphical interfaces. Text have intrinsic limitations that does not allow you to implement everything with good customer experience. And that point, which is obvious for us, I think that not everyone knows or experiences it, because I think that is something that you know when you experience it and you try it. The other thing, and I think that this is it's gonna be huge, is that messaging apps are going to be the new browsers, and conversational apps are gonna to be the new websites.
Yeah. So that's what you want those people to understand, is that this is what's going to happen, and they need to leverage it, take advantage of it,
Totally.
be the best at it.
If you believe this, and I see it for the trends, the statistics, these 10 years of experience in this market, etc., you probably would change your strategy.
Yeah. So this goes from an understanding perspective through to strategic decision perspective, and then ultimately ROI.
Totally.
Fantastic. Okay, so just shifting gears, because you're clearly very passionate and knowledgeable in this space. You've lived and breathed it for 10 years. What inspires you, or what drives you personally in building this company and operating in the space that you are?
So I would like to have a feeling one day I wake up, I have to contact to a brand, and I don't think that is a bad thing, and that I don't want to do it. I procrastinate because it's gonna be a bad experience. I would like to wake up and say, I have to contact this brand, it's gonna be great. And this is not, right now it's not like this. So this is why we are building this company, to change this, to help companies to make this paradigm shift in a meaningful way that has an impact to everyone. And as we say, to increase the NPS of the world.
I love it. It's a compelling vision. Alana, what drives you, inspires you working with Hubtype and the customers that you service?
To not have to call for anything, to be honest. That's what's inspiring. It's super frustrating today to have to do something that you don't want to do it. And with the technology advancements, we see it. Like we are advancing so many aspects in our society, but why aren't we there in customer service? It doesn't make any sense for me to still have to call for a very small issue. It's much easier if I can just reach out to my phone on an app that I already have, that I use every day, send a message, and everything's solved. 2 minutes. That's it.
Yeah, I share that passion and those objectives. If everything could happen with every brand that I have to deal with, whether it's a brand or a corporation or anything governmental, if it could happen through WhatsApp, it would be a dream.
Absolutely.
So Mark, can you share with us, what's the long-term vision for Hubtype?
Yes, so, well, basically the long-term vision is that we want to provide the best tools so that companies can bring their entire website into WhatsApp in a seamless way. And we see WhatsApp, as we mentioned before, as an operating system where every company will have their conversational app or micro app within. And we will provide the tools to build these 360 conversational apps that can solve any business need when it comes to messaging and chat.
Compelling. So we spoke a little bit about complex use cases, which could involve a whole manner of things, including like signing documents and checking out. How is it that you're able to maintain security and provide confidence for companies and brands who obviously have that at the heart of their customer experience?
So this is a great question. A lot of customers and prospects ask. And basically is the technology of conversational apps, basically, when we need to capture sensitive data, the data in the graphical components does not go through WhatsApp servers. And then all the data that is there, Meta or WhatsApp does not even have it. That said, I have to say that there is a misconception here about WhatsApp, because a lot of companies are worried about WhatsApp and security and how secure is it, the messages, etc. But the funny thing is that they are using email to send everything. And yet their servers, their email server is super secure. But if I send as a consumer my ID through Gmail, Google have the data.
Yeah.
And if I send it through a Microsoft account to the company, the Microsoft have the data. So they have channels like email as secure that they are not, and they are super worried about WhatsApp that is end-to-end encrypted, and the data is not exchanged it's not exchanged with Meta. But the answer is, even WhatsApp is more secure than email. With these graphical elements, we make sure that the data captured there is not shared with Meta.
Powerful. Let me ask you, who do you think Hubtype is relevant for? Who should stand up and take notice and take a look at your product?
So at a global level, everyone that cares about customer interactions in some way would be a nice target for it. But more specific, if you are more in the operations customer support space, then customer experience leaders, customer support leaders, and operations leaders. If you are more in the side of generating more revenue, then we are going more to marketing and sales leaders that they have to keep improving the revenue.
Got it. So we've really focused a lot on WhatsApp on this conversation. I know Hubtype does other things as well, but that's where we're really seeing the future. But why? Like, why is it so important to have that focus, that expertise, that speciality in WhatsApp for companies?
Well, when it comes to the Western world, WhatsApp is the king. Maybe in US is Facebook Messenger, but between these two ones, and Apple Business Chat maybe, a third, would be the main messaging apps, okay? But when you are considering opening the channels, if you just open the channel without a clear strategy behind it, you are gonna fall short 100%. The why behind this is because this is not a channel. This is the channel. So we are talking that this is gonna be the main communication channel. So the same way you open a phone and email as something super core and strategic, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever, now is the same paradigm shift for WhatsApp. So having the right tools, the right partner, and the right strategy, it's a must. My recommendation, if you are missing one of these, don't do it. Wait until you have the three of them.
There you go. Solid advice. Alana, are there any particular use cases or client testimonials that you're particularly proud about?
Yes. So our client, one of our airlines client, EasyJet, we've been working with them for the longest time. I think they were one of the first clients at Hubtype. So we've helped them automate many use cases. But last year they came to us with a problem. So they were having not so good reflection on Trustpilot, not as well as they actually do in customer service. And they asked us if we could automate this specific journey that when an user ends up talking with a live agent, if they can leave a review on Trustpilot. It was a really simple automation, but the impact was astonishing. So in less than 3 months, they doubled the score in Trustpilot, and they got more than 10,000 new reviews, positive reviews, by only doing that single automation that will take the user to Trustpilot to leave the review.
Wow. And reviews, NPS scores, so important for a company's growth and vitality.
Yes.
Amazing.